Let's review our Sunday school lesson for today. We are in the fall quarter for September, October, November, entitled God's Law is Love. We're looking at the law as it relates to faith in Jesus, and we're considering some of the rigid observance of the law that many people of Jesus' time went through. And then we're talking about the real appearance of what faith in Jesus looks like as we follow the law of love and compassion. We're in unit number 2 for the month of October, entitled Faith Triumphs and the Law Fails. We're looking at the book of Romans and Galatians at the inability of the law to give us anything spiritual and how we need faith in Jesus Christ. Our lesson for today is lesson number 8 for October the 22nd, 2023, entitled All or Nothing at All. Our printed passage is Galatians 3, verse 1 through 14. So we think about this lesson today. I want to remind us that the law really left us in the hole and with a deficit. It left us with a debt. It left us in a terrible, terrible position. So when we receive grace in Jesus Christ, it puts us in a brand new standing that we ourselves couldn't do. In many words, that's the gospel of Jesus Christ. The Lord Jesus came and did for us what we could not do for ourselves. This was the teaching of those in the New Testament, in which they began to encourage people, put your faith in Jesus. He can save you. Not all this other stuff, because he fulfilled all that. Now just put your faith in him. But just like in Jesus' day, in which Pharisees and scribes came to trip him up and try to draw people away from following him, there are also those religious leaders in the day of the Apostle Paul who practiced the same type of attitudes. They wanted people to go back to the law that could do absolutely nothing for them. And so Paul asks the question to Galatians, who has tricked you? For these false teachers to come in and to lead you back to what you know could do nothing for you. To lead you back to following the law, to lead you back to try to go back to do A, B, C, D, to try to be right before God. Who has tricked you? Who has bewitched you? That you would believe that contrary to the gospel that I have preached unto you, that by faith you are justified. And Paul gives an example. He gives the example of Abraham, who by faith it was accounted to him as righteousness because he obeyed God. And yet, by that same faith and that same promise, that through him all nations of the earth would be blessed. Instead of faith in Jesus, the Galatians are now going back, putting their faith in the law that left them in such a bad position. Because of this, the Spirit, verse number 2, Paul said that you receive by the hearing of the word, along with miracles. It should be proof for you to trust Jesus. However, you're putting your trust in the wrong thing when you put it in the law. Jesus fulfilled the law, thus allowing us to put our faith in him and not in our own selves or the works that we could do or even try to do for the law. Puts our faith in him who lived the perfect life, got it right down here on earth. We ought to live by that spirit who in Jesus Christ. So in fact, Habakkuk 2 and 4 said, the just shall live by faith. So we've got to have faith, and that faith cannot be put in our own works, trying to follow the law, but our faith has to be put in Jesus. Jesus became our curse. Jesus took the punishment of the law, fulfilled it, so that we would be able to be forgiven and to come out as new creatures in him. Let us stop putting our faith in everything else and even ourselves, because we have nothing to put our faith in ourselves for. Put your faith in Jesus. And when you put your faith in Jesus and not trying to follow rule A, rule B, rule C, rule D, his spirit will help us to keep his law. That spirit that writes his law on our hearts, where we don't have to look at some tablet or some stone or some paper that is written out on. Now it's in our heart, it's in our intent, it's in our motives that we want to please him. So let us live according to the law of God. Forsake all else and realize and understand that with God, he wants our all or nothing